And two. Okay. I think we are. See. I'm excited to meet with you. I'm excited to like catch up, and it feels like we haven't spoken in a really long time.
Well, we haven't. It's just been nuts. So much stuff, as you know, has gone on, and you being in a different part of the world, you know, it's almost like, you know, we yo-yo between different shit shows. You know, things will go crazy here, and then it settles down. Then it'll go crazy for you, and you know, vice versa.
Yeah. Well, let me see this. So I'm excited to just kind of catch up. I wonder if we can start there and just, you know, I was really excited. Those of you, there's some of you on with us live. Hi, my second show today. I had an amazing Bible study today, Denby, with Charlie and Justin. And it was just like, it was really good. I would just totally recommend it. They're like 3 hours long, so maybe just catch the last 45 minutes of it because it was really, really good. And now I'm happy to be with Denby, who is such a sister from down under. And I'm excited to, just catch up. I mean, you were somebody who reached out to me in the beginning of all of this craziness. And you've just always been there for me. You've always been so kind and so loving. And also we share yoga, right? We share a great passion for the yoga practice and keeping it authentic. And I think we're like, sometimes it feels like maybe the two people on the planet, maybe Carrie Ann is still in the game, you know, just trying to keep this thing grounded, you know, it's just getting nuttier and nuttier. So yeah, that's my 2 cents for right now. How's it going?
It's beautiful to see you, darling. Thank you for making time for me. It's I'm watching you. I'm stalking you on YouTube all the time and watching your videos and stalking you in a good way, and always sending lots of love and so proud of you and you know, supporting you, because as we know, there's only a few of us still. It's almost like there was a little hub of us in the beginning that spoke out, and then, you know, life takes its course and we've got families and other things to be concerned about, and you know, all the crazy stuff to hit our own personal, you know, arena as well. It's very easy to, you know, as you know, it's easy to speak out about stuff when it's happening on the other side of the world and sort of pontificate and go, oh, well, you should do this and should do that. But when it hits your own family in regards to, you know, these jabs and things like that, then, you know, you've really got to, I've found anyway, you've really got to sit in that next level of, well, what do I stand for, and where is my line in the sand, and what am I willing to compromise? Now, what can I wear a mask if I have to go to the doctor or not? Am I going to be really, you know, we've all got our different, you know, compromising inner dialogues that are constantly on repeat. I feel that we're needing to refine. So, and with you in Mexico and me in Sydney here, like today, we've just like this week, I don't watch the news. Anyone watching, of course, I just get my feeds from friends that send me links. And we've got to check this out, which is really lovely that they do lots of research as I do, or I see some things on social media. And this week we've had Western Australia closed down, which is the state over, you know, to the left if you're looking at the map of Australia, because there's been one case of COVID, and now New South Wales has closed down as well. So it's unbelievable to me that story is still actually being pushed and that people are still falling for it. So yeah, the next wave of weirdness is coming in, my love.
I love that, the next wave of weirdness. It's getting, I said this yesterday to somebody, I was like, it's getting dumber and dumber. Like, and I don't mean that to be insulting. Like, it's just getting dumber. Like, somebody accused me of being a neo-Nazi yesterday. Like, this is dumb. Like, we're not making any sense anymore. And it's not to be an attack. It's just to be like, how much more? It's like you just said, like, I can't believe people are still believing this narrative. Like, we have a friend here from Michigan, Denby, who just said, you know, he's got this great riff. I'm going to do a podcast with him in another week or so. But just on how what's happening with COVID is detox. Like, you can't catch a detox. You know, like, he's got all the science and he's got the great riff, but I'll just kind of drop that little red pill. Like, this is not catchable. This is not something we catch from each other. This is something that is coming out. It's detox. And detox is healthy. Detox is a great thing. All sickness is detox. Check out Dr. Morse's work on YouTube. He's fantastic. So much stuff. And it is really alarming. I still have friends and family now. Everybody's going to get the jab. Everybody's so excited. Everybody's so proud about that. And I guess I'm really trying to stay compassionate, but it's not easy right now. I am being tested in ways that I can't even, my annoying, angry, what is going on voice of don't you know what's in that thing? It's just, I get that they're they feel safer now. And, really interestingly, before I pass it back, we went to go see this waterfall recently, and it's in the middle of nowhere. We drove way out, and the guy there that's kind of keeping things together had this sign up, and he was wearing a mask, but he saw that we weren't, so he took it off. And the sign said something and he's in the middle of nowhere, so he's got his head on straight, but he's people won't stop smoking, but they want a vaccine. People won't stop eating junk food, but they want a vaccine. And it was all in Spanish, but it was really here's a guy in the middle of nowhere watching the show from a distance and just being I'm sitting in nature. Nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
What is the story? And the only thing I can really come up with is it's this weeding. It's this thing that's happening between those that are really working on lifting their Christ consciousness right now, and those that just want something to go back to normal. And I'm super sad to say that's never going to happen again. It's not going back to normal. In Michigan, they're trying to pass laws that masks are permanent in all business, permanent. They're trying to pass
it's nuts. The crazy point for me, and there's been several on this journey, as you know, is watching people. I saw a meme a few months ago. It was a lady, I think it was in Korea or Japan. She had a cat in a harness, which, a lot of people do, walk their cats like they do their dogs. And the cat had a mask on. The cat had a mask on with a little hole in the middle of it so it could breathe, and had eye hole, and I was like, seriously. And she was dead serious. She was walking along had bought into that whole story. And I find that fascinating. It's human nature is just incredibly fascinating, as you know, and especially when we're on our own journey, we're on our own path with this, of course, and that, as you say, it's only human to get to that point. Just because we're yogis doesn't mean we're perfect in any sense of the word. We're humans struggling like everybody else, so we have our moments of what the, and all that emotion has to be processed in some way. And luckily, through our practices and our studies over the years, we've got tools that we can utilize, whereas a lot of people don't, or they may go to yoga classes, but they're not really either being taught really how to use those tools properly, or they don't want to, or for whatever reason. So I find it really fascinating just to watch, and especially, as you know too, that there's so many, there's a lot of leading yoga therapists and teachers that are actually leaving the yoga industry now, leaving the whole new age scene, because they're seeing it, turning to Christ and turning to God. That's a whole other topic altogether, which we'll probably talk about today. But they're also really intelligent people, and very learned and very wise, and have lived a full life. So they've got a lot of life mature experience under their belt as well. And yet they're walking around with masks, and they're advocating. We've had teachers here in Australia that are people that are very well known. I'm not going to mention names, but very well known and very respected, and people that I have respected for many years as well. And they're advocating to their students to go and get this jab. And it was bad enough, I think, those of us in the activated yogis group were it was hard enough to deal with, to watch these people, as you say, fall for the narrative that you can catch something that your body is excreting. And then, even with all the evidence and all the conspiracy theories that have all been proven true now, of course, as far as the medical and actual physiological possibilities go, they were buying into that. And then now they're actually buying into taking this, and it's not, let's not call it a vaccine, because it's not, it's experimental gene therapy. And that's even more horrific, that people are actually lining up. That's their karmic choice in this lifetime. That's the only way that helps me sleep at night and justify it to myself, of just letting people do their thing, let them be them, because we can't change them. and they need to go through a particular soul journey that they've chosen for this lifetime. And I think the thing that maybe gets my goat occasionally is that that's okay, we can understand that we all have our own stories, but let's not interfere and imprint our own beliefs and needs and fears on one another. So that's what it comes, you know, if you want to have the jab, have the jab. If you don't. But don't make either party, you know, acquiesce to the others, like say that everybody, like it's a blanket thing. We all have to do this because a small amount of people don't want to do, or, you know, are living in fear. That's the thing that I think a lot of yoga teachers and practitioners, health practitioners, haven't actually got. They haven't been able to see with that foresight that this is actually not about health. This is about the removal of human rights and everything that they value as yoga, you know, yogic in the world. No, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Totally crazy. Well, if we weren't sure that egoic consciousness was dominating our planet before this, we can be 107,000% sure that egoic consciousness is not going down without a fight. It's not. It's not. And as practitioners of this ancient science, to see those turning away from the tenets of this practice, advocating this insane story and confusing their students. Like, I don't even want students anymore. I'm like, look, I'm not a yoga teacher anymore. Okay. I can teach a yoga class, but I'm not a yoga teacher. But like, what are we promoting? We're promoting breath. How's that consistent with masking? It's common sense now at this point that we've just allowed to just go out the window in the name of popularity, in the name of just going with the sheep, going with the herd here. Whereas if you really look at the practice, in my mind, it was about standing out from the herd. This was about teaching us how to be leaders, how to connect to supreme consciousness. And once you connect to supreme consciousness, you realize the entire thing is an illusion.
Yep, totally.
Thing. And it's delusional. And we've got to learn how to rise above it by moving through it. Obviously, we can't bypass it, but that's what I see so many people these days doing. It's just too hard. I just don't want to do the research. It's just everybody's doing it. It's fine. Just do the thing. It's going to be over soon. Just, go with the flow. That mentality is straight up dangerous. It's dangerous.
Totally. Yeah, it is dangerous, darling, for sure. And I had a chat with Dr. Christiane Northrup a couple of weeks ago, and she's amazing, and she's speaking out a lot, of course. And she broached the subject with me before it was one of my questions that I had, one of the millions of questions that I had for her. And she was saying that she was just disgusted as well as heartbroken that she was watching yogis in America, because that's where she is, posting on, I think it was Instagram or Facebook, on their social media, that having the jab was a mystical experience, because they now felt that, like, these are the words she used, the mystical experience, because they felt like they were now doing the right thing for their community and being a good yogi. And she's like, and wearing these things covering your face when the practice is all about breath and prana. And she said that's absolutely that just shows you how insane things have gotten when you have people who are advocates of breath and prana and energy saying and doing things like that. It's astounding. And then, of course, we talked about the whole shedding thing. This is the thing, as I'm sure you're concerned about as well, is, okay, so a virus can't transmit, especially a dead one like that, it can't shed to other people. So it's your system and the frequency of your energy. And let's face it, most of us, even if we're eating really well and living a good life and drinking good water, at some point when we were younger, we were ingesting a lot of pollutants, with the chemtrails and all those things that have been going on, eating food from soil that's perhaps not as good as it should have been, etc. So we're all needing, that's how we regenerate. We're in a constant state of relationship with viruses, as you know, and then detoxing and purifying and regenerating ourselves. So if you take that out of the equation, that wasn't as dangerous, I don't believe, as what we're seeing now. And I'll get you to speak to it, what's happening in the States, because there's a lot of talk around the world, and I saw this energetically happening as well as a lot of other people have, is that once people have had this jab, their bodies are going to go into this complete spaz attack of trying to get those toxins out. And it's already been recorded that the spike protein that goes into the mitochondria in your cells now has been detected in semen, saliva, sweat, and through breath, through exhalation. And that other people who haven't had the jab are now apparently, something is transmitting. Something is transmitting between those who have had the jab and those who haven't. And I'm talking to Dr. Andy Kaufman in another 2 weeks as well. So I'll get another doctor's opinion on and expertise on that, whether this is actually physiologically possible or if it's got a lot to do, which I intuitively sense, this is just my theory, see what you think about it, is that we're living in a world that's governed by sorcery and spellcraft and witchcraft, has been with the cult that's been going on for centuries. So it would make sense, if you're coming from that psychopathic mindset, that you would infuse spellcraft into something like this experimental, hi darling, genetic therapy. So then the frequency, the energy of that would also emit from the human that had it, and that fear and all the density that's infused and woven into that spell, into the jab, is what other people who are fearful of it are picking up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I follow. I mean, it's basically the simplified explanation of what I think I just heard you say was that we're all connected and we're energetically passing on our fear, and that this is escalating this to another level that is making it a little bit trickier for those that might not be aware of how to maintain energy, how to keep it out. And I can just speak, to other people's fear in my field is so alarming on so many levels, it's so disturbing because it's not mine. And it just seems that these days everybody, and it's what you said earlier. Sorry, 1 second.
A little person. Hello, little person. Oh, how gorgeous.
It's my little man. I think you have to ask your dad. This is my little surfer boy. It's bedtime over here, so we had a little fight. But I recently had this experience where I was, everybody else's fear is theirs. And because I think collectively we're so spiritually immature, not an insult, just an observation, and we don't know how to deal with our own fear, we just got to get rid of it. We just want to project it onto others. People have said to me things like, I'm afraid for you in the direction you're going in your life. I feel that as a friend, I need to tell you that you're being perceived as a white supremacist, all this stupid shit. And it was like, I could feel it, because I love these people and they were a little bit too close to me and I wasn't prepared for that conversation. So when someone gives me that fear, it's literally just so disturbing and so upsetting that it takes me time to ground it out and to come back and to forgive them and to forgive myself and, do all of the things. And I just feel like like in such a big way right now, we're doing that too much to each other. That's the virus. Like your fear is what you said earlier. Like if you want to go get that freaking thing, do it, but don't encourage others. Like, but maybe they say the same thing about us. Maybe they say, well, don't tell me what to do and but it really feels like all of our immaturity is up for grabs right now. And it's such a collective clearing that like we really have to take ownership and responsibility of our own energy. Like, and for me, staying in the present moment is the magic card. It's the get out of jail free card, because like someone can be telling me like whatever they're telling me. And if I can withdraw from their words and their vibration and just see their face and like, all the stuff, then I'm like, okay, that's fear. Okay. That's fear. Where am I? What do I want to be in? Well, I want to be in a state of love. So what's happening in this moment? Well, I'm watching the sunset, or I'm having a conversation, or I'm chasing my kid, or I'm preparing a juice, or whatever I'm doing. Stay here, because the fear is really neat. Like we need to be very like warrior-esque about this stuff right now. Like this is not a joke, because now with this jabbing business, and I had heard someone say that it separates the self, like this self from the higher self. Like that was even more alarming than what you're saying too. Like that the higher self can't connect to the soul and the body anymore. Like if that's even somewhat possible, like God help us. I'm trusting that, I like the thought that it's all fake, it's all good. It's, I'm going to,
Yeah, exactly. And I think from the beginning, and I know you feel this way as well, like, I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. I'm more than happy to be like, called insane and have everything that I'm fearful of or that I have projected or anticipated or been visualizing is wrong, and that we're all, deluded in some way. I mean, I would wear that crown with no problem if it meant the world was, restored and there was peace, love, and mung beans and all that stuff happening, and the things that we're seeing revealed were not, coming to pass. But I think we're mature enough to realize that that's actually not happening. And as far as the energetics of this jab, from the very beginning, as you know as well, when I heard about the virus, a year and a bit ago, I straight away just went, didn't resonate with me at all. And the word that came to me actually when I heard that on the news in the background was cancer. And I was like, okay, cancer, what does that mean? They said to me, and my energy of that was that the incidences of all sorts of cancers are going to escalate exponentially with this virus. And I didn't know how. I didn't make proper sense of it. I was just like, okay, right. But I knew that not to believe in it. And certainly the energetics of this, I've noticed this as well, because I've met a few people now here who I know who have had the jab, okay? And I've known them for years before. And the second that I've seen them in person, there's like this dullness, like their shine has gone. There's something that's just not there in their eyes. It's not a darkness or an evilness or anything like that. It's just like the lights are on, but no one's home sort of thing. It's like they've just got a veil between me and them, but also within themselves. And they're physically not healthy either. I mean, obviously extremes, people dying and having these horrific responses, blood clots and things like that. The people that I've met so far have been lucky enough to just have, sore throats, colds, normal flu type symptoms. And they've felt like that for a couple of days and some of them a couple of weeks. But even the ones who have recovered from that, I've noticed they haven't gone back to how they were before. They haven't, when you normally get sick and you purge it all out and then you look after yourself and you come back and you look, relatively the same, you get that glow in your skin and, you're just yourself again. They haven't come back to that marker at the center of themselves yet. And it's been quite a few weeks. And then, there's this French healer that's going around on the internet saying that she's done healings on people and she's noticed that the soul has actually disassociated itself from the physical body. And that's what I was shown as well. And there's probably a few of us who have been shown that do that level of work as well. I see that as almost like your consciousness being moved out of the body through like an umbilical cord, silver cord, whatever you want to call it. I work with, the umbilicus. And she, as several of us as well have noticed, is that it's like the spirit is there and it can see its body, but it can't get back in and it's confused and it's distorted and there's a barrier there now. And we know that this is influencing the 8th strand of DNA, which is about our empathic abilities to connect and to self-love and to self-nurture. And if that's destroyed, how does the human connect with their spiritual self? I mean, this again feeds into the whole giant cult agenda to breed or, homogenize humans so they no longer can connect to their own spirituality. And then, of course, they're just going to be herded and used for, as a resource. That's down the line. So I have seen that in people now, and I've felt that. And apparently with the second and the third jab, that gets worse. That cord actually gets cut. And so what you've got then is, hypothetically, let's be hypothetical about it. If you've got all these people who have had 2 or 3 jabs, their spirits, their souls, their consciousness has been separated from their physical body. It's up here in the ether floating around. It still identifies with that human physical body because there's a memory there in some way. But you've got all these souls out there in the ether in the middle of a freaking spiritual battle, right? Like they're going to be vacuumed up by guess who? Because they've already made that karmic conscious choice. Now, you can't have this conversation with people, obviously very few, and certainly not ones that have had the jab because they'll just completely explode. And you don't want to, I'm just trying to move, as I will always do, from this deep space of compassion, because what a horrible situation for you if you have had the jab. And then whether you take on what I just said about the spirit stuff or not, and you just go through the physical, what you've done to your physical body, what a horrible space to live in. Can you imagine the regret and the sadness and the grief and the trauma that they're now going to feel if they wake up after having had it and they go, shit, I can't do anything about this. I mean, this is why we're here as healers, to help these people, not to, go, are you an idiot for doing that? And no, serves you right. I mean, that's the knee-jerk spiritual adolescent response, I suppose. The spiritual adult and the mature soul will come and go, okay, well, you probably should have done that, but however long you're going to be here on this plane now, I am here to support and hear you because this is what I came for.
Wow, that's beautiful. I mean, I do think that we've got to really keep in mind, though, cause and effect. So yeah, on some level, like we don't want to be, you know, every action has a reaction. So we've it's like what we were talking about earlier. We've got to be the grown-ups. These are serious decisions. These are serious times. And even just that there's these types of conversations going around, you know, should make us be hesitating deeply. The hard part for so many people is the pressure. I think they're so pressured to get it. They're going, that's what's hard to accept, is that you go against yourself. You go against your intuition. You know you don't want to do it, but you do it because you want to travel and there's a threat that you won't be able to travel. You want to do it because you just want to, you know, go to restaurants and hang out with your friends, or you don't want to wear a mask anymore, even though you still apparently have to, but or don't, depending on where you are and all the craziness. And I just feel like this is really a time for us to be strong, like make the decisions like that are hard and be different, be a weirdo, like
embrace your weird no.
like look at us. I mean, okay, we're weird, but like we're at least I can honestly say feelings and energetically, I feel peaceful most of the time. I really, really do. When I don't, I work on it and I ask and I dig around and I meditate and I practice and I breathe and I drink juice and I do the things, because it really is on me. If I'm not feeling in that state, like I've got to figure out what needs to be done. And that's about, you know, spiritual maturity, is connecting and being like, okay, Spirit, what would you have me do? Should I go get this job? And I have to believe that I met a quantum physician here in Oaxaca who said that he had the capacity to, if you had to get the job for any reason, that he has a Rife machine. He works with like that Rife technology, that he can reverse the effects of it. So that was kind of like cool, you know. I mean, I don't know. It sounds there's just so much going on, and it's really not my area. But I have to believe that there's always grace, you know, and there is cause and effect. So if we make these decisions, and when you say like your friends, like the light hasn't come back, that's what scares me, because I have a lot of people in my life that I love very much that I think just did it because they were pressured. They just felt pressured by their community, and they're like, fuck it, I'm fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal or whatever, you know. And it's like, I don't know why you're, you know, so bent out of shape, Marie. And I'm like, you don't need anything like that. And we need to ask ourselves what it even stands for. COVID, Certificate of Vaccination ID. Why is it patented? I mean, come back to the basics. Get down to business. Everybody knows the world is effed up, but nobody wants to acknowledge how effed up it is, how intentional that effed upness is. And if you won't go there, you're bypassing, and we can't get to the other side of it. And that's why so many of us are like, all right, we're going to face this thing head on, because we know that love is stronger than fear. And we know that the only way out is through.
Yep, totally. And it's a birthing tunnel. It's a bloody, painful, contracting, expanding, getting stuck, you know, moving yourself through to that other side, certainly. And yeah, that's exactly what it is. People on the surface, I mean, for a lot of people, as you know, and certainly in our community, it was and it probably still is, a big stretch for them to actually wrap their heads around the fact that child sex trafficking, for example, exists, that happens. And we know that that's been happening for centuries, and it's just come to the fore, and it's got nothing to do with Q or any of those psyops, which I believe a lot of them are infused with all sorts of mind control propaganda. Regardless of that stuff has been happening for a long time. And so if you can get your head around that, then the next invitation is to grasp just how widespread that network actually is and how deep it actually goes. And then that's another process of digesting and integrating into yourself as well, because you've got to, as you know, keep taking your brain out, flushing it and going, okay, everything I thought that the world was about, everything I thought I knew, everything that I stood for, I've got to question that now. And who am I without that? And this is where the ego, as you know, comes up. It's like, well, your identity as an ego and all the things that are attached to that is what is being invited to shed and to transform now. And if you don't have a connection to source, to God, to Jesus, whatever works for you, then you're always going to be drawn into that, that battle of, and it's very insidious as well, of you justify things to yourself, because again, fear just doesn't come up as fear. It comes up as procrastination, excitement, anticipation, or anxiety, all these different emotions and expressions. So it can be very sneaky. And with us as well, I find that really interesting to watch within myself, because I'm constantly going, hang on a minute, knocking here and going, are you coming from a trigger? Are you coming from fear? Are you speaking from love? Constantly having to flush that level of awareness through myself with anything that I share. And again, because we're all human going through this, it's fascinating. And just mentioning the Jesus word, as you know, I've written quite a lot of posts and blogs about that. I'm looking at the New Age movement and the satanic programming, which is in that, and then there's resistance. It's just like this hatred that a lot of people have for indoctrinated religion. Fair enough. Religion, Christianity, etc., are very different to Jesus and God. Everything that I've researched and all the people I've spoken to, as you know, two totally different things. So we've kind of got to get over our hang up around that. And when the virus first came out, I was like, well, you know what? Jesus hugged lepers. Okay, cool. So I know I'm cool. And I've watched so many Christian and New Age to Christian and Christian to New Age to Christian videos, and believers and people who are very well read and experts in their field. And they have all basically said that when I'm filled with the Spirit of Christ, or again, whatever words you want to pop in there that make you comfortable, I know that nothing and no one can touch me. And it's funny because I've always said that to myself before going on this path of like getting to know these beings and getting to know Jesus and God from a different perspective, not the yoga perspective. I've always said, when I'm in my power, when I'm in my, my sense of empowerment, when I'm clear and strong and grounded, whatever, I know that nothing and no one can harm me. And now it's just like, okay, well, I'm just going to entertain, expand my brain and go into another field and dialogue and see, where the scriptures can infuse and where things are actually very similar. And get over my own, paranoia and resistance around that, because, what have we got to lose? Honestly, at this point, we've got nothing to lose by investigating it, and absolutely everything to lose, literally, if we don't give something new a chance.
That's so beautiful. I just loved every word you just shared, because it's the truth. We have everything to gain from our willingness to see things differently and to be brave. And when you know that you are a son of God, and you know that you're holy and you're divine, then you can face anything. You can face it. You can acknowledge some of the hard things, and if not all of the hard things, and as much as you can take, but you must do that. And that's what this journey of man is all about. That's what we're missing the show. We're getting lost in the dream if we're not paying attention to how we're growing. I mean, like, just acknowledging how you're approaching this work, and that's the gift of these days. It's super important. I feel like a lot of people are just so afraid of doing this because it's different. But like the Course says, Christ in the Course, if you believe that material is from God, says, my way is not difficult, but it's different. And I love that, because that sounds like the Christ I know, the big brother who rose and who did it perfectly to show you how, not because you can just sit back and, get jabs and just, go to church on Sunday and go on with your life as normal. No, it's so that you know how to do that. Jesus said, I am the truth. I am the light. I am the way. You're going to do greater miracles than me. So then that means that you are that, Denby. And I'm that, and everybody in the chat and everybody who watches this in the future, you are that. Like, I love how Charlie Frico was like, insert your name. Like, when you read the Bible, insert your name. Like, you're Moses, you're Mary, you're Jesus, you're Jonah, you're Adam. This is our story. It's our story. And that's the gift of these times. Like, and the psyops and all the things, because they've all gotten us through portal after portal after portal after portal. And there's some of us that are we're still going. We're not done yet. We're not like, I'm going to just hang here for a little while, wait to see what happens. No, it's just like, we're full steam ahead,
Yeah, well, I kind of don't want to be done yet anyway, because it's like, well, when you're done, you've learned everything that you need to learn this lifetime. Guess what happens? You go whoosh, you get the exit point, off you go. We've constantly got things to expand ourselves into and to shed and recalibrate, most definitely. And I mean, I'd so love to have a chat. I've never met Charlie Freak, but obviously follow him and admire his work, and he's just got a brain and a heart which is next level. But certainly, it's that willingness to step outside of yourself, and then you can see when you do that how much you've actually been living outside of yourself as well. It's kind of like a dichotomy, or whatever that word is, can't think of. It's that space of like, I actually know nothing, and yet I know everything. I know I am everything, and I am connected. But what did I actually come here to learn? Because I tell you, sister, I don't want to come back and do this shit again.
We're not.
It could be worse,
We're done. We're ready. We're going all the way. It's moksha from here on out. It's moksha from here on out. And the only way to moksha is to let go of what you think you know, because that's the wheel of suffering. The wheel of suffering is in your own brain, going around and around and around in your same circles, not willing to break free from this thought, this program, this interpretation of World War II, this interpretation of the vaccine, this interpretation of COVID, this interpretation of Q, of Trump, whatever. You just have to open your mind and consider a different possibility. That's all. No one says you have to believe anything at all, because I trust the light in you. I trust the Christ in you. I know that Christ represents love in you, and that when you start to clean up your diet, first and foremost, and you start to do this work, you literally start to clear the pathways in your brain that are cluttered with all of the dairy and all of the processed foods and all of the junk that you've consumed all of your life. Once you start to detox from that, you can start to see things clearly. And that's what we're out there on YouTube, whatever, just saying again and again and again, like, just try. And what's fascinating is that more and more people are. And it's frustrating because there's still a whole heck of a lot that seem to be the loudest ones in the room that aren't, but it is happening slowly but surely. And I still have the faith. I do. We're studying the book of Revelations right now, and it's really interesting to see the magic of the ancient texts come to life in 2021, May 5th, in my little life here in the middle of nowhere. It's fascinating to recognize how loved we are, and that creation is loving. If you look at a hummingbird, you cannot argue with me. Creation is loving. Nature is loving and regenerative, and that shows the forgiving nature of our Creator. So when we're willing, that level of willingness is such a powerful move, because it allows nature then a degree. It needs all, but if we can give it 1 degree at a time, then it can support us in regenerating ourselves, mind, body, spirit, and stepping out of this fear vacuum. This is only out of fear. Like, we have to get out of fear. We have to be able to say to our friends and our families and our doctors, no.
Yep.
Not a bad word. Just no.
Yeah, it's just the sacred no, and that's boundaries, and that's you taking your power back or feeling empowered. And I think now, when you're saying that so beautifully, there's possibly some of the resistance, and I know this just from myself, so if it resonates with people, awesome, and obviously love to hear what you have to say. But if we view the world like we see Ayurveda and yoga as like a system, and then there's so many systems of the world. We've got our energetic system, we've got the political system, we've got the environmental system, all these things, and then all these teachings and philosophies. Even there's like little mini systems within, like consciousnesses within bigger and smaller consciousnesses. So in order to expand our intelligence and our experience on a soul level, which is kind of what we came here to do, I believe, then why not investigate and study as many systems as possible, just from that sort of objective point of view, rather than just going, this is the one system I've learned and I'm just going to learn everything about that and know it inside out, upside down, recited in my sleep kind of stuff, regurgitated in 20 different languages. But then that's limitation. We're limiting ourselves with that. And I think it comes to dog snoring in the background. I think it comes down to, from the energy work that I've done for like over 2 decades now, is when you know your energetic system, when you know how you work with energy in your body, and how long it takes for you to digest and integrate experiences, trauma, situations, etc., then when you refine that, anything that you've learnt up until that point, and any person's philosophy, self-help books, gurus, etc., that have inspired you or got you on the path up to this point now where you can go, right, I'm going to try and expand myself to the next level. That's not a waste of time. That all those people and all those things, even though a lot of them, as we know, are being exposed as false light, it doesn't matter, because they helped us at a certain point in our journey, and they helped us evolve and develop, and we went up and down and around corners and round in circles to get to this level of understanding of ourselves now. So it's maybe there's a bit of fear of like, again, well, who am I going to be? And I see this with clients a lot, and I had to go through it myself, and I still do to degrees. Who am I going to be if I let all that stuff go? Like, what's my life going to look like? What if I let go of my reputation, my attachment again to this and to that? And who am I going to be? How am I going to survive? There's all these. I mean, with COVID last year, the whole world got ripped a new one, because it was like the base chakra. All of our foundations and everything that made us secure financially, emotionally, physically was just pulled out. So that's going to take quite a while to process and integrate and heal. It's not going to happen overnight. And those of us who are, for whatever reasons, have downloaded, brought in, faster, accelerated programs inside ourselves, or we've been doing this work for quite a few years before the shit hit the fan, maybe that's why we're sort of a little bit more, treading water a little bit better. We're still all treading water, but maybe we've got our heads and maybe our chests out of the water a bit more, and some people are still like trying to get to the surface. It doesn't matter where we are, we're all sharing the same experience, but maybe that's kind of why a lot of people are, the fear of, success and failure, but who am I going to be? And what have I used in the past to support me? And how am I going to survive without that? Yeah. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Somebody in the chat's like, you'll be you. Spartan Awakened said, you'll be you.
Exactly. Perfect.
And it's perfect. Mm-hmm. It's perfect because you're not you. Mm-hmm. You're a hue. You're a hue of you. You're a human. We're mankind. We're here to be kind. And we're not being kind to ourselves, to each other. And I find that we accept such a level of discomfort energetically as normal. We can't even conceive of what it would be like to be free. Like that's what I think people like us have been, doing all these friggin' downward dogs for. It's like I heard all beings everywhere being happy and free, and was like, I want to get on that boat.
Yeah.
That's my boat. I'm gonna get on that one, because that's gonna show me how to be happy and free, because I don't really want anything else. And now I'm learning how to get rid of so much of my threads to the matrix. I am going all in Neo on this thing. Like I am the one, it's fascinating what happens when you let go. You let go of what, and I've been practicing this for many years, but like letting go of what people think of me, super hard. Now I've got to let people think I'm some really, really bad stuff that I'm like, it's now it's getting funnier. Like I took it personal a little bit, but then I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm learning how to not take anything personally. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm still having to that one. Thank you, Toltec wisdom. However, this is what it is. It's how to be you, the version of you that you were designed to be, how to be your higher self. Yoga is about self-realization. And we are living out our egoic realization. And that's what we're needing to shift collectively. And each one of us raises our hand and says, I'm willing, supports everyone else in advancing and accelerating. And that's I don't want to use the word urgency, but I'm going to use it because it's kind of getting to a place, friends, where just do it. Like, let's just do it. It's not that hard. You're going the blessings, the rewards are built into the work that we do. So the rewards are, you're not going to feel so much anxiety. And diet is really important. I don't want to go on too much more with, but like really starting some fasting protocols. Like if you look at the Bible and the Essene Book of Peace, like we got some demons to expel here. And some of them can only come out through fasting and prayer. Christ said that, not Marie Russell. So, it's just about coming to the ancient texts, seeing what you said earlier about all the different programs, all the similarities. show us that the truth is in so many different variations for us because it wants all of us.
Yeah.
It wants just some of us. It doesn't love some of us more than it loves all of us. It wants all of us to awaken to our divine potential. And that's the journey of man. And that's what yoga is about. That's what all of this is. That's what the Bible's about. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is about. How to control your senses. I mean, just think about it. One thing triggers people these days. And the next thing you know, I mean, I'm under a literal witch hunt right now in my community. And I didn't even know it was called that. I didn't even know it was called that until one of them called me and said, there's a witch hunt going on for you. Do you realize this? You should take down this video and that one and this and that. I go, I have done nothing wrong. I do not censor myself. I am open to possibilities. I know that I talk about sensitive issues, but grow the fuck up.
Yep. Yep.
And I know
that's proof. That's proof that you're speaking the light and that you're triggering those entities or those energies in those people who may not be aware that that's actually what's working through them. But I've studied witchcraft and have been involved in it, not now, but a long time ago, and it was one of the first modalities that I got into with a mentor. So I have a pretty good understanding of how that all works, and that's the occultist mentality. So even if someone is again attached to that way of being and they're being triggered, then they're going to use those tools and those skills as a way to bring somebody else down that challenges everything that they believe they stand for. And I was going to do it like a mic drop for you at the end of that because it was beautiful. It's like there is this urgency though. Yeah. I spoke to George Eisman from the Reveal Report, amazing guy the other day, and he was in the occult and now he's a Christian but a believer, and he's an awake and aware Christian because again there are ones that are not believing in the narratives, the mainstream narratives, and others that are, as is all fine. And we were talking about, I said to him, so why there is this urgency where we don't want to get attached to panic of like, we've got to do it by a certain time because that doesn't serve us. So I said, well, why do you think that, first of all, I said to him, lots of questions, but the main was, why did Jesus come around about 7 AD? Why was he born at that particular time? Was that symbolic of something that was happening on the planet for a particular reason? Was it aligning with whatever? And he said it was pretty much, and we've seen waves again of this throughout civilization, it was at a crucial point. It was when the shit had got to such a point that someone needed to come down and say no, basically. And, it had to give everybody a good spank on the bum and shift the dynamic of where the collective was peaking to, because it was going to get really, really nasty if there wasn't some sort of intervention. I was like, oh, okay, radio. I'll go and sit with that for a while. And it's almost like that time now, because so much stuff, we've pulled up all these carpets and we're looking underneath and we're exploring within ourselves and we're seeing the reality that we have just been numbed to for so long and acquiesced to and allowed, given permission without realizing it, that it's like, boom, it's exploding in our faces now. So there is a kind of a need for a bit of giddy up, of like, let's just get on and do this now, because as I said before, it'll get a lot worse if we just keep laying down, bending over and saying, yeah, keep going. That's all right. I'll put my mask on. I'll scan my phone. I'll do whatever. And I'll swallow down more of my spirit in order to feel safe, so I don't have to feel that fear. So I agree with you. There is this sense of urgency.
Yeah, it's, now is the time for yoga. It's the first Yoga Sutra. Yeah.
Yeah.
When? Later? No. Here, tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to start that juice fat. Tomorrow I'm going to pick up the Bible. And tomorrow I'm going to do that research about the vaccine. It's like now is the only time that's real. And it's so fun. It really is. Like, I just feel like so grateful to be on this side of it. I really do. It's not always been fun. I've had more dark nights of the soul this last year than I can remember in my entire life. I mean, so much has gone down. But that's what this is, and we're out there doing it for everybody. It's not like I'm doing this just for me and for my family. I'm doing this for everybody. I feel like we owe that to each other. We do. And because Christ did that for us. I mean, if we use him as the example, and who's coming now for us is us. Like, we need to
Yep.
save ourselves on this one. This is not about waiting for something external to happen. And I think that maybe some of us were really, I was certainly roped into a lot of those, like this date and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And I'm grateful that that existed, because it got me to the next date. It kept me hopeful to the next one. But now I see it as like, we're leading it now. Like, there's things happening perhaps behind the scene, obviously not perhaps, but there's things happening, and there's this and there's that. But it's like, it's about us saving our lives, literally, for ourselves, for our families, and for our communities, because we love you that much. We say the hard things. We do the hard things. We're willing to be, the assholes in the room, the weirdos, the freaks, the conspiracy theorists. We're willing to do all that. That's what Christ said: lay down your life. There's nothing greater than lay down your life, lay down your reputation. What does business matter at this point? Like, what does money matter at this point? I've given everything to God, because I know that that's the only way out of this shit show. Because that's what's real. God is real. Love is real. This is getting crazier and dumber by the second. And everybody, it's just dumb. It makes no sense. My yoga teacher this was his greatest line. He would say that every day you practice yoga, you get smarter and stronger. And every day that you don't practice yoga, you get weaker and dumber. So like,
I love it.
Yoga can just be 3 conscious breaths right now. Yoga can be a meditation. Yoga can be consciously choosing what you put in your body. Yoga doesn't always have to be Lululemon pants and a bunch of handstands and downward dogs, although all of that stuff is really fun too. I just think it's really important that we keep it real. And God is real. And God has been systematically taken out of our lives on a level that is so alarming, so disturbing, that it takes that much more conviction to bring it back. We're not going to get 10% in. We got to put 150% in, everything, all in. Everybody's got to get both feet. This is like all hands on deck right now.
Yeah. It's an organized crime network, most definitely. And it's been orchestrated for so long. And I think when you say that, it's, our yoga practice is wonderful, and our meditation or whatever else other things people are doing. But for me, in the way that I teach and the way that I approach it too, is like, well, I don't want to do the postures. I don't want to have the same conversations. I don't want to do the same repetitive things every single day, because that doesn't offer me growth. So the posture that I hate to do, the posture that really challenges me, that brings up tears, and I go, oh, the teacher says the word, and I go, oh, fuck, I've got to do that pose again. That's the one that's your greatest teacher. So it's that part of yourself that you don't want to go into. You've got to go, well, why is that? And lean into that with love and allow it, because that's your purpose. Like, we are our own purpose. We're not actually here, I don't think anyway, to achieve all that, which is great too, but not to achieve all these things, to get all these plaques on our walls and, what is my life purpose? You are your life purpose. That's the greatest purpose of all.
And it's a redirect. I mean, I think a lot of us, and I certainly have been roped into this, and studying the Bible at this level has been really inspiring for me, because it's not about the riches of the world. It's not about that. And why couldn't I ever win at this game? Because it's a rigged game, sweetheart, and you're an angel of God. And you're not supposed to play that game. You're not supposed to, you're not supposed to play that game. You're supposed to learn how to stop playing that game.
Like, honey. Totally.
That game, Angel. You got to get out of there. You got to get out of there.
Yeah. Awesome, darling. I love you so much. I'm so glad that I connected with you and reached out when I did. You're just awesome. I'm sending you so much love from across the oceans and the ethers all the time.
Thank you, Denby. I love you so much. And we do this much more often whenever you want to. I'm sorry it took me so much going on in my personal life. And I know you do too. Like, this has been so transformational.
Yeah. Awesome, darling. Same. Sending love to you, all of you as well. And I keep the armor of God on, and keep the faith and the trust, and keep doing you. You're just divine.
Thank you. Love you. And thanks for all of you guys in the chat that popped in to say hi. It's a lot of.
Thank you. I'll have a look later. Thank you.
Find Denby too. Where can people find Denby?
On YouTube, Denby Shiva, and on Facebook at the moment, Denby Shiva as well. I'm on BitChute. as Denby Sheether too, or Denby Jane on Facebook as well. But yeah, just YouTube Denby Sheether.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Awesome.
Yeah. I love you. And her posts are beautiful, and her blogs, everything. I love you, Denby.
Thank you, Diane. I love you too.
Second, are you up? Let me see if I can figure out how to end the stream. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow for Everything Under the Sun with Charlie.